and welcome everyone for today's Excel Toronto Meetup group. Please feel free to use the chat, say hello there, and we will be also using the chat for the questions later. Today we have Erik Oehm with us. Thank you, Erik, for joining us, for offering your time once more to come and share a few things that you know with us. You know a lot of things. It is the second time that Erik is joining us. And do you remember when we first met and chatted, Erik?
Absolutely, I do.
When was it?
It was three and a half years ago, maybe 4 years ago, because you were you were trying to get me to come and do a presentation, and I was like, I don't speak in front of people, so.
It was even before that. The very first time that we met was in I think the first or the second Global Excel Summit event, maybe the first,
Yeah.
during the pandemic times. And they used to have this feature in the networking area. Yeah, where people would get matched in pairs to chat for 10 minutes or something. And then 10 minutes would end, we would get another person to chat and to meet. And we got paired at some point in that process, and that's how we met. And you told me about OA robots at that time, that you were working on it, and I started to follow your work on LinkedIn, and I very quickly became very, very impressed with all the stuff that you do, and just genius solutions for many things, and also the kind way you always interact with everyone. And then after that, that's when I asked you, don't you want to come and present about, I think at the time I was inviting you to present about the Lambda function or something like that. That was just coming out at that time. But then, yeah, you were very anxious about presenting in
I still
public.
am. I still am.
Yeah, I still am too. It's always difficult. I'm always nervous, but we just do it, right? And we do it because other people can learn from it. And it's been great. It's been amazing to see your journey since that time, and having seen your product evolve. To the point that it is this year part of the nominations for the award at the Global Excel Summit, right? The OA Robots tool that you are going to show us today as well is one of the nominees for the best add-in. So very, very timely, your presentation. Hopefully people can understand your add-in a little bit better, and maybe some will get to use it for the first time in a few days or after this session. Thank you, Erik, for joining us. I will let you introduce yourself. I know that you have many, many years of experience as a consultant. You've been doing fantastic things, developing Excel solutions for many, many years as well. And so I'll let you fill in the gaps for that and take the floor. But before that, sorry. I got excited. Let me just see what I have here in my slides that I'm forgetting to present. So the session is being recorded. Be mindful of that. And it's not letting me pass to the next slide. My name is Celia Alves. Welcome everyone who is here for the first time. I am an Excel MVP, also working full-time as a business analyst and a brand advocate with Sheetcast, who happens to be the sponsor, the main sponsor for this meetup. And Aurora, she's with me. Hello, Aurora. You want to say hello as well?
Sure. Hello, everybody. I'm Aurora. I'm a freelance consultant based in Toronto, providing data analysis solutions using Microsoft products, and I'm a big fan of Excel. I will be posting resources and links and keeping an eye on the chat for your questions. And now let's learn together with our guest, Erik.
Thank you, Aurora. And a shout out as well for our volunteers who help us with some administrative tasks. Sheetcast, as I mentioned, is also an add-in for Excel that allows you to transform your your spreadsheets into web apps. It's very, very cool, and it helps us solve some of the things that Excel alone cannot do. For example, how to share your workbook in a way that you have permissions for different permissions for different people to edit or just to see the information or to not see some information at the row level. So you can say you can only see these rows, and it's very, very interesting. If you want to learn how to use it, there's the QR code there and the workshops, the link for the workshops that we run every now and then. These are free workshops, and I'm delivering them with other people on the team. Speaking of this, and before I forget, Sheetcast is offering 5 free tickets for the Global Excel Summit that is coming up in May. And today was the due date for people to submit their applications. The submissions closed just an hour or so ago, and we have enough tickets for everyone who applied. So for now, everyone who applied will get a free ticket. If you applied, submitted your application, and you are here, you can already rest assured that you have a free ticket that you can choose to be an in-person ticket or an online ticket. Other people, I will see if we will reopen these or not, but I try to do this early so that those who win have the time to book their flights if that's the case. Okay. Other sponsors, our my Excel consulting, Solving Excel, my consulting business, MrExcel.com offering us discounts on books, on digital copies of his books, and Women in Excel group on LinkedIn. Our next sessions will be on April 8th about Excel pranks with David Ringstrom. He will teach us very different Excel features and concepts, but using those features to play some pranks to our coworkers, for example. So it's a fun way to present and to learn Excel. And then we will have Benjamin Weber on April 22nd presenting about volatile functions. Benjamin Weber, if you don't know, who is not this last year, but the year before, 2024, the champion of the Microsoft Excel Collegiate Challenge. So it's like the Excel Championship, but for college students. He won 2 years ago. And there's a number of perks available for you guys. Aurora will put the link in the chat through this application. This is a Sheetcast app where you have access to a number of resources, including discounts for events, including the exercise files for all the sessions, all the past sessions. So feel free to take a look and take advantage of what's available for you there. This was for the contest, but it's closed, and you will get this workbook with all these resources after the session in a couple of days when I send an email with the recording. And now, yes, Erik, thank you so much again, and I'll give you the stage now.
All right, let's do this. I'm excited.
So,
all right, can you guys see my my initial slide there?
We can, but now that let me stop sharing. The thing now is that we see you. Let me see if I can do something here. Maybe I can pin you because Erik is instead of sharing the screen, he's using a fancy method. Let me see if I can pin your video tile so that everybody can see it big. Let's see if that works. So it's interesting because before it was only the two of us, we didn't see this effect when we were testing. So I'm going to spotlight for everyone. Okay. Let's see if that works. So now everybody should be seeing Erik's video in big size there.
Oh, it says in the
It
chat
worked.
it's working for people.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Whew.
Looks good.
All right. We made it through our first technical challenge. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Celia. Before we start, I just want to recognize Celia Alves. You are awesome. You are the reason why I'm here today. When I did my first talk on microautomations 3 years ago, it was Celia that convinced me to come out of hiding and share my passion for Excel and the tools that I've been building.
I'm so happy I did that.
Yes. OA Robot wasn't originally intended to be a commercial product. It was me building the tool of my dreams. Celia recognized that and convinced me to face my biggest fear, public speaking. Now here I am again, prepared to embarrass myself with the goal of sharing my passion for a term that I coined, microautomations. Today I'm going to be talking about the magic of microautomations. I'm very excited to cover what makes Excel great, how microautomations can help you today, introduce you to OA Robot, and demonstrate microautomations in action. First, a little bit about me. I'm a bit of a mad scientist. I've been automating Excel professionally for 30 years. I started out as an actuarial analyst, but my neurodivergent brain loved Excel, not pension law. I love to tinker, explore, and solve problems in Excel. I built a company, Oehm Automation, that specializes in automating Excel for hedge fund and alternative investment industry. Being paid to do something you love is the greatest career anyone could ask for. I live, breathe, and dream about Excel. My brain is like a volcano of ideas, and I could literally talk about microautomations and Excel for hours. And that's what led me to create OA Robot. I'm the inventor of OA Robot, the Excel add-in of my dreams. With the help of my incredible team at Oehm Automation, we've built something I'm very proud of, and I look forward to showing it off here today. And I guess we should also recognize the elephant in the room, the giant MEWC check with Dermot Early's name on it. No, I didn't win the Excel championship in Vegas last December, not even close, but I kind of feel like I did. With 5 minutes left on the clock, shortly after using Lambda Robot to generate a Lambda on the fly and sealing in his win with a perfect score, Dermot turned to me in the front row and gave me 2 thumbs up with a beaming smile, and I jumped up screaming and pointed back at him. It was the most amazing moment and a decisive victory, and I'd like to think I had a small part in it. If you are here today, it's likely that you already agree with me on this. Microsoft Excel is the greatest application of all time. It's been around for 40 years, and it's more popular now than it has ever been. Over the years, one puzzle has always kept me wondering, what is it about Excel that makes it so special? For the longest time, I couldn't put my finger on it, and then it hit me. Microautomations are what makes Excel great. Microsoft Excel is just a giant collection of what I call microautomations. There are literally thousands of features in Excel. Want your data sorted? Just select and click Sort Ascending. Want random numbers between 0 and 100? Just use Rand Between function. Want to add spark lines to your portfolio returns? You get the idea. These are all microautomations. Now, Microsoft could have stopped there and Excel would have been a pretty cool application, but no, they added extensibility. If there's a feature you want in Excel, but it doesn't yet exist, you can create it yourself. VBA can be used to add new features. Lambdas can be used to add new functions. Power Query can be used to add reusable queries. And .NET and TypeScript can be used to create custom add-ins like OA Robot and Sheetcast. Excel is not just a tool, it's a development environment. When you write formulas in Excel, you're programming in a functional programming language. In fact, I would argue that Microsoft Excel's formula language is the most popular programming language in the world. Now, I've had some debates with ChatGPT on this, and it seems to think Python is more popular, but I disagree. A lot has changed since my last speech on microautomations. Gone are the days of writing large, complex applications in VBA. Most of the VBA that used to be written in the past has already been replaced by Lambdas, Power Queries, and semantic models. Now with AI, there's no point in spending a bunch of time becoming a VBA expert. And yet, VBA is having a huge resurgence in use. It turns out that languages like VBA that have decades of public content are some of AI's strongest skill sets. I've churned out more VBA in the last 6 months than in the last couple of years. AI is like a fire hose of microautomations. VBA is not dead. It's more powerful and more useful now than ever. AI is now everywhere. 3 years ago, the Excel Labs generative AI function was released, and it was underwhelming to say the least. Now, AI is everywhere, and it's not going away. As the saying goes, if you aren't using AI, you're at risk of being replaced by someone who is. More recently, it seems, if you're using AI too much, you're at risk of replacing yourself with a swarm of AI agents. But AI is not for everything. I really don't like the fact that it's non-deterministic. Maybe I just have trust issues, but that makes me really nervous when I'm working with financial data. It's super fast at some things, and then strangely, it'll be slow at small requests. And sometimes the service is just down. Microautomations are small enough to easily explain their inputs, outputs, and expected behavior to AI. They're also simple enough to create test harnesses around. They are deterministic and even work when AI is not available. And they make you measurably more efficient without handing your entire job over to the AI agents. The ability to create powerful microautomations is no longer limited to hardcore programmers. It's available to everyone without having to be a deep AI expert. Now the problem is too many microautomations. Creating VBA with AI is a breeze, but once you have it, what do you do with it? It takes time to create custom ribbon menus. There's only so much room on your quick access toolbar. That's where OA Robot comes in. Let's take a look. Oh, okay, let's see. First of all, this slide needs some work.
Erik, sorry to interrupt you before you continue. Would it be too much trouble for you to share your screen instead of your camera, or is it too difficult at this point now? The reason I'm asking is that I'm thinking that Teams will not record your screen as in a big size. It will probably record you as a small video tile, as it records cameras when people are not sharing screens. And
sure,
it will probably be, it may then show very small on our recording, and then people will not be able to see.
Sure, let me switch that.
And then another time we can retest and see how this would come out. I know that one person said that they could not see because they were watching from a mobile device, from a cell phone or something, and probably the system there is a little bit different, and it was not showing for them.
No worries.
Yeah. So we will be seeing how Erik can how any of us actually can create different little automations using the different functionality in Excel and then have them available to use anytime. We can see Excel now. Is it Excel or PowerPoint? I don't know. It seems Excel. Yeah, but we can see it. Yes, thank you. Except that now we don't see you. We only see, but that's fine. We only see the OBS kind icon on your camera, but that's fine.
All right, great. All right, so something's wrong with this this next slide. I seem to have lost a lot of my formatting. So, but that's okay. We have OA Robot. So let's see if we can make some improvements to this slide. First, I'm going to zoom it to 250%. Okay, that's a little bit better. Then I'm going to add a slide header. That's formatting A1, so it looks a little bit better. Good. Let's get rid of that formula bar. I don't need that. How about the row column headers? We don't need those. Let's get rid of those. Let's hide the sheet tabs. Let's hide the status bar. And let's hide the ribbon menu. Boom. All right, that's looking much better. Now, what you just saw was OA Robot in action. And there's something very important to understand here. OA Robot is not for doing these things. OA Robot is for doing your things. So as I show you these examples, don't think about it so much about whether my commands would be useful for you. Think about what commands you wish were in your OA Robot. If you're a financial modeler, you'll want different commands than if you're an actuary, a dashboard developer, or a portfolio manager. OA Robot is a micro automation launcher. Think of it like a searchable, quick access toolbar with an unlimited capacity. Its main dialog is launched using Control-Shift-O on your keyboard. We call it the command palette. There is a search box on top and a list of available robot commands below. I have hundreds of robot commands, but your list will just be the ones that you've received from others by them sharing you workbooks or using setup codes, or that you've created yourself. The buttons on the left are characters on your keyboard, so you can type them or click on them. Let's talk about robot commands. Robot commands are curated micro automations. How many times have you written some code to do something, and then the next time you want to go run it, you have no idea what file it's in or what that macro is called? By curating your micro automations with OA Robot, you have a single list with friendly names and descriptions, context and documentation at your fingertips. And OA Robot is not limited to just VBA micro automations. OA Robot supports a bunch of types of commands. Formulas and Lambdas, Python and M code, even AI prompts themselves can all be micro automations. And OA Robot is designed for work and optimized for play. So you can use the mouse, but everything is optimized for keyboard efficiency. All right, now we're going to jump to a demo. You guys can still see my screen?
Yes. Formula
Fantastic.
commands worksheet.
All right, fantastic. So the first thing to mention is that when I do Control-Shift-O, this little box shows up. That's the command palette, and it shows up context sensitive to wherever my mouse is, kind of like the right-click menu in Excel. It goes away by clicking off of it, or you can hit escape. It's very intuitive to use. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is formula commands. And this first command that I'm going to show you is transpose array. I think it's a great one because it doesn't involve any lambdas. It's something that you could just do manually. And it's something that is so micro, it's such a small thing to do that if it was a macro that you had to click on a toolbar or go find to run, you would never ever use it because there's just too much friction in doing that. You can easily just edit a cell and I just
Type
realized
in the function, type in the function, right? Transpose.
that's right. You could just edit your cell and type transpose in here. There's even some autocorrect, so you can. It's not that hard to do. But with OA Robot, it's just a couple keystrokes away. Control Shift O, and then T, enter, and boom, you just transposed. Now, the reason it came up so quickly with T is because when I curated that microautomation, I assigned it a launch code to make it faster to come up in the search box. So for me, I do transpose all the time. So T is something that makes it super easy to come up. One other thing just to mention while we have the screen up is when you point at a command, you can see where it comes from down below. So this transpose array is part of Array Robot Volume 1. OA Robot doesn't come with any robot commands when you first install it. You get robot commands by typing in setup codes or getting workbooks from other people. So for Array Robot Volume 1, the setup code is over here, and all you would have to do is just type that in, CK71QS, and you'll see that it shows up, and you can hit enter on that, and it'll download it automatically, and you'll have all of the commands that are available in Array Robot. As I go through these slides, you'll see some other setup codes available as well. Most of those are also available in the Getting Started guide that opens up when you first install OA Robot. All right, so that was transpose array. Now we're going to create our own, we're going to create our first formula command ourselves. And for this, I'm going to use the example round to 1 decimal. So I've just taken that same sequence and divided it by 3, so we have something to round. And the best way to create a robot command is to point at it, point at your inputs, and just basically write the formula that you would want to do. So round, open paren of this, comma 1. So we're going to create a robot command, a formula command, that is round to 1 decimal. So I typed in the formula, and now I'm going to bring up the command palette, Control-Shift-O. I can click on this plus here. You'll notice that it types a plus when I click on the plus, so I don't have to use the mouse. I could type a plus instead. And then add command, and then we're going to add a formula command. While I'm here, you can see all of the other types of commands that are available. There's Python commands, send keys, OpenAI chat, Power Query commands, VBA macro command is one of our most popular commands. And there's a bunch of other command types that we use for our enterprise clients as well, like REST API, Switch, Grok, Claude Code, all kinds of cool stuff we can do for our enterprise clients. Okay, so we're going to add a formula command. So we get this dialog. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can do on here, but it's actually, don't be intimidated by all of the options. All you have to do in order to create a command is give it a name, round to 1 decimal. And we could give it a launch code. I'm going to call this R1. And you'll see that it already filled out the formula. It has something called an application expression, which is basically telling it, when I run this command, take whatever the formula is in the active cell and substitute that right in here. So we're basically saying, take the active cell and wrap it with a round, comma 1. So we'll click OK. And that's it. We've created the round to 1 decimal command. You've created your first robot command. And if we want to apply that, you'll see it's right on top because we just created it. But if you type R1, it'll find it very quickly. And when I run that, you can see that it took the existing formula. This is the existing formula, and it wrapped it in a round comma 1. So that kind of will kind of spark your interest on the sort of things that you can do. Very interestingly, if I'm going to take that off, Control-Shift-Z will remove the outer function. So you can use Control-Shift-Z to take off that round 2 that I just added. It's kind of like undo. We don't get full undo in Excel, but we can remove outer function with Control-Shift-Z. Now, if I take these over here and I'm going to paste them as values. So now we have hard-coded values here. What's going to happen if I select those and run that round to 1 decimal place on something that's not a function? What you'll see is that it still works. What it's actually doing is it's applying that formula to these and then converting the formula back to a number, back to a value afterwards. So you can use OA Robot formula commands on your hard-coded data, and it will apply that formula just like you wrote a VBA macro. And similar to VBA macros, by the way, it's not undoable. So be careful. Be careful how you use it. All right, that was formula commands. Now let's move on to VBA commands. So VBA commands are the most popular type of microautomation because especially now that you have AI available, it's so easy. VBA used to be something that was only for those VBA people. You do not have to be a VBA person anymore to create VBA commands and to write macros. Let's just show off some VBA commands in action. So I have my favorite sequence 10.5 here again. So one of the things that is, regardless of whether you're a financial modeler or an actuary or a portfolio manager, it's very often that you're dealing with data that you want formatted differently. And you can, some people are really good at knowing like what all the shortcuts are to get to different, number formats and stuff like that. Personally, I'm a little bit dyslexic. I can't remember shortcuts to save my life. So part of the reason that I created OA Robot is because I can't remember the shortcuts, but when I type in the first couple letters or just the initials of something in OA Robot, it makes it super easy for me to remember how to run them. So I'm just going to take this column of data here, and I'm going to do I'm typing A0 for accounting with 0 decimals. I hit enter, and it just applies that. That wasn't I should have done accounting with 2 decimals because it looks like I did something. There we go. Now, that search technique is what we call hyper search. And I can type accounting. I could, type it in different ways to find things. If I wanted to auto fit column width, I could do auto fit, and it'll find it in there. But look how easy it is if you, in your head, you say the words, but your fingers just type the first letters. So I say auto fit column width, and there it is. So, and because I've used it before, I can just do AF and it'll find it that way. So that's what we call hyper search. And I encourage you to kind of like name your commands in a way that it's how you think of it in your head. And then when you say those words, just say the first letters and you'll find it very quickly. It's also trainable. So if I were to arrow down and do autofill to right, then the next time I typed AF, it would remember that I like to use AF to do autofill to right, and that's totally fine. So you can also train it by typing as few letters as possible. All right. Just to show you some more formatting, we could do %, 1 decimal place here. You can have like special formatting, like here is format as hidden. So that's the semicolon, semicolon, semicolon number formatting. I could apply that. That's not something that you can easily find on your toolbar. I even have some interesting ones like format password, which will take things and make them formatted as asterisks. So you can get very creative. Of course, you can apply formatting if you wanted to, put some borders around something. All borders. Format all borders. That one is a send keys. You saw it send keys to the menu. And then I'll do one more, which is I'm going to add a gray rounded rectangle around that. So that just actually put a drawing object around those. So you can imagine if you're somebody who's a dashboarder person, you can take your favorite things that you're doing all the time, because you typically have like your favorite look and feel, your favorite styles, like whatever, turn those into robot commands, and you can like boom, 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 one thing after another. And next thing you know, you'll have a whole dashboard created. You don't have to like perfectly align things or whatever. It's just, select and you're done. So you get the idea there. So now we're going to create our first VBA command. So I'm assuming that you have never done anything in VBA before, and that's totally fine. Hopefully you have done something with AI before, because I am going to use AI on this one. I am a big fan of both Claude and ChatGPT. I'm going to use ChatGPT this time, but both of those add-ins are very good. I know some people use Copilot as well, and I'm super eager for Copilot to catch up so I can start using that instead of these. But for now, let's use ChatGPT. So what we're going to do is we're going to write a macro that highlights the cells that are divisible by 3. So my prompt is write VBA to highlight in yellow cells divisible by 3. I'm just going to take that and paste that right into our friendly AI guy over here. And it's going to go ahead and write some VBA. Now, sometimes it'll do this where in this particular case, it thinks that maybe I want to actually put that VBA into my spreadsheet. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to say no. But it gave me this nice little block of code here. I'm just going to copy that. This is VBA. And now we're going to jump over to the VBA window, which is Alt F11. Alt F11 will jump you into VBA. So we're in this OA robot demo. By the way, a lot of these workbooks were opened automatically by running robot commands. If you run a VBA macro command, you do not have to have the files open. It knows where the file is, and it'll open it on demand as you need it. And next time you close Excel, it'll close all of those, and they won't be there when you reopen. So on the insert menu, you're going to want to insert a module. A module is basically a kind of like a document where you can store your VBA code. You can have as many macros as you want in one module. I recommend you name the module. It's defaulting to module 1. I'm going to call it mod format. And I'm going to leave my cursor in the macro because I'll show you why here in a moment. When I go back to Excel, how do we add VBA commands. It's very similar to the way that we do the formula commands. I'm going to type plus again to add a command. I'll type V to add a VBA macro, hit enter, and boom, we have our dialog. It was smart enough to recognize that my cursor was inside a macro, and it said, maybe this person wants to make a formula, a VBA command out of this. So it automatically filled out the dialog for us. So just fix a couple things here. Looks good. I will call this divisible by 3 for the launch code. And it figured out what the macro expression is. And we're done. We can just click OK. That's how easy it is to create a robot command. If you have VBA, you slap it in, you jump back to Excel, ++V, enter, and pretty much that screen, you're just going to be able to click OK on it, maybe tweak the name of it a little bit to make it nice, and you have a robot command. Now, something important to understand about robot commands. This robot command that we just added was added to OA robot demo. This is the file that I have open right now. You have to think about robot commands very similarly to Power Query, Lambdas, and VBA. When you create a robot command, it's in memory in your Excel file, but it's not actually saved anywhere until you save your file. If you create a Power Query and you don't save your Excel file, you lose it. Same thing with Lambdas. So think of it as the same way. Similarly to those other things, if you email this file to somebody else, the Lambdas go along with the file, the Power Queries go along with the file, so do your robot commands. That means that they're super easy to share. If your entire team has OA Robot, the free version of OA Robot, you can create a bunch of cool robot commands, you share that on their network, or you email it to them or whatever, and now they have those robot commands. It's that easy. We call these files that have robot commands defined in them, we call them command collections. And there's actually a list of what command collections. Now, I have a crazy long list of command collections, much longer than anybody. But those are the ones that are registered. That means that when I open up OA Robot, all of the commands will be listed, even if I don't have those files open. All right. So we created that cool new command. Let's give it a try. Highlight divisible by 3. Come on, ChatGPT. Yes, it actually worked. I'm constantly like blown away at what AI is capable of doing. Sometimes I'll explain something that I think there's no way it'll be able to do this, and I literally just copy it out of that window, paste it into a VBA module, turn it into a robot command, and now I can do that like instantly anytime I want. And the other thing that's very important to understand about these is, unlike most VBA macros, these are available in any workbook. If I open a totally blank workbook that has no VBA macros in it, and I put in a sequence 10.5 in there, I need to like get my ribbon showing here. So I'm in a blank workbook. I'm going to put that sequence 10.5. And now I can run that exact same highlight divisible by 3, and it works just as well in a workbook that knows nothing about your that macro. So that's part of the brilliance of the OA Robot, is you can apply macros from one that are defined in one workbook to any other workbooks. Just close that one. All right. So one little caveat, just so that you know, in order to make it so that OA Robot will fill out the properties in the dialog box automatically, you do have to have trust access to the VBA project object model checked in your Excel options. If you don't, you can still create robot commands. You just have to fill out things put in the name of the macro you want to run and so forth. All right, next slide. All right, so this one, this is a, so you're familiar with autofill. That's the little handle that you can like double click on and it'll like fill things down. There's now that we live in a world of dynamic arrays, Microsoft autofill is no longer cutting it. So we created one that's called autofill down. There's two commands, autofill down and autofill to the right. These are part of Formula Robot, and the setup code for Formula Robot is over here. So that if you want to install all of the Formula Robot, there's a bunch of really cool stuff in Formula Robot. But this particular one is going to blow your mind. Okay, so we're starting with my favorite sequence 10.5. And what we're going to do is we're going to write a formula off to the right. I'll do 2 times this column minus this column is a 6. So I'm just writing a formula on the top thing. Now, if I were to double click on this, it doesn't even do anything because you have to drag it down and it's doing it cell by cell. That's not what I want. This is a dynamic array. I want a dynamic formula here. So instead of using Excel's fill down, I'm going to do a D for auto fill down. You see that comes up in auto fill down for Formula Robot. Now I've assigned, you can assign keyboard shortcuts. I've assigned a personalized keyboard shortcut, Control D. So for me, I don't even use the built-in feature of fill down and fill to the right. I have Control D and Control R remapped on my machine to use Formula Robot. So when I run this, check out what it does. It just made this a dynamic formula without us having to figure out how do we grab this 4th column and this 2nd column. It knew that we could use a choose calls to do that based on the array. So this is fully dynamic solution here. Now, some things when you try to fill down, you can't just put pound signs next to them. So concat, let's say I do a concat of these guys right here. It does not work to put a pound sign and have it spill or whatever. So when I'm going to do Control D, but all I'm doing is running the auto fill down. And what you'll see is it figured out that it's not going to work to just stick a pound sign somewhere to get it to work. And what it ended up doing is using a by row. So it does row by row, and I've turned it into a little Lambda that applies that function row by row. That's a very slick way to do it. Now, all of the things that I'm showing you that go autofill down, they all also apply across. And I know there's a lot of financial modeling people watching, so I'm going to switch over to autofill to the right. So I have my same sequence 10.5, although it's going 5.10 this time. And I'm going to imagine that you have this in your financial model. And how often does it happen that you want to divide this by this? And you're like, oh, I'm going to format that. OCD, apologize. There we go. I want to fill that to the right, but this is a dynamic array. It's like, oh, man, I never want to use dynamic arrays. This is too big of a pain to figure out how to like get that to copy across. Control R or autofill to the right will automatically write that formula for you. It also took that formatting that I applied and applied that all the way across too. So now we have a dynamic version of this row divided by that row. Very nice. How often do you do sum by columns when you do these dynamic arrays and you're frustrated? It's like, why does it have to be so hard? I just want to do a sum of each column. This should be like, This should be like Excel 101 here. Why, it should not be this hard. Autofill to the right, and boom, it just turned that into a by call with a sum. So it's summing up each column individually, and you get a total going across without even having to think about how that works. Now let's get a little fancier. Let's say that you want a lag between columns. So I want this one minus this one. So it's the change, the difference between two columns. And I want that to be dynamic. Surely it can't handle that. That's not gonna, never gonna work with dynamic arrays. We've all tried to do that, right? Autofill to the right, and boom. What the heck did it do? It basically used that dynamic array, and it installed a lag lambda, and it's using a lag lambda that I wrote. And so this is an example of a robot command that includes formula dependencies. So this particular one it installs that on the fly, so you do not have to like figure out, oh, where's my lag lambda, like what lambda file do I have that in, and how do I get it into the current workbook. All right, and the next favorite is the running total. So let's say that we have what we want to do for a running total is we want to take the cell to the left plus this cell up here. What's happened down there? Oh, I have something floating around down there. So basically I said I want the cell to the left plus a cell up here. So what's going to happen is if I were to do that cell by cell, you see that it's doing what I want. Now, if I take that same formula and I do autofill to the right, you guessed it, it just wrote a scan. It's doing an accumulator across that range, and you can have an initial input and it'll accumulate automatically. This is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole bunch of other cool stuff that you can do with this. It also does one that is tile. So if I had like a sequence of this number here, now if I were to copy that to the right, what's going to happen is it actually tiled together all of those results. So this is a sequence 105, this is a sequence 5, so forth. And if I want to get rid of those NAs, I can do if error, then blank, and boom, they're gone. That just wrapped the existing formula with an if error, then blank. So that gives you the idea of autofill. All right, it only gets better from here, but I better pick up the pace. All right, now let's talk about paste special. I'm sure you're all familiar with paste special. It's this dialogue that has like a gazillion things on it, but it never has enough. Like no matter what, they could not push enough things on this dialogue because we all want more paste specials, right? They gave up at some point. And they're like, people can't even find what they want on here anymore. We're not adding anything else. You're on your own. But that's okay because OA Robot is the best paste special tool ever. And you can invent new paste specials all day long and you'll have them all at your fingertips. One of the ones that's really popular is paste exact formula. This is where if you want to copy a formula to somewhere else and you want that exact same formula, but it doesn't have the dollar signs, if you just copy it over here, it's going to shift everything and then you like, oh shoot, well, you end up doing this thing where you like edit the cell and then you copy the text of it and then you go over here and paste the text in. Now you can just copy, come over here and do paste exact. That's in Formula Robot and boom. So that's a nice one to get. You can also do things like pasting sums because a lot of times if you were here, you would just type equals sum and then go over here and select the cells that you want. But usually when you want the sum, you already have those cells selected. So to go over to that cell is like you have to go over to that cell and then you got to type equals sum and then you got to go all the way back and reselect what you already had selected. So it's pretty handy to just be able to copy, go wherever you want that, and then do paste sum, and boom, it created the sum of what you copied. I'm just going to show you real quick here what these things are looking like on the OA robot side, because let me find one that is, this is a VBA parameter. I'll wait until I have one that is a formula parameter to show off what they look like in the editor. Okay, so I'm sure you're aware that Excel already has paste transpose, right? But when you do a paste transpose, you're basically ending up with hard-coded values. I don't want hard-coded values. I want a transpose of what was in those cells. So if I do copy over here and I do paste transpose references, instead of the built-in transpose, I'm saying I want to do a paste transpose of the references, and boom, you can see that it took the copied range, stuck that in there, and then wrapped it in a transpose. So is that one? So that is a formula one. So if I edit that, I can see the definition of that one. And instead of it being the application expression being active cell formula, now I just have clipboard in there. And that's basically saying that whatever the cells were, the address of the cells is gonna show up right there. So you can create your own paste specials. It's super easy to create these. All right, now you're probably wondering what's going on with these colors. You're going to trip out when you see this. I'm going to put my sequence 10.5 in here, and I'm going to put another. Oh, by the way, F4 on your keyboard, that's redo, will redo the last robot command. So if I hit F4, I'm going to get another sequence 10.5. So now what we're seeing here, the blue is one spilled array, the green is another spilled array, and this third is a third spilled array. So now I'm going to show you something that's going to blow your mind. It is paste combine arrays. So how often is it that you kind of create this report or whatever that's like a combination of different arrays, and then you want to like grab part of them, but you need to combine them. So let's say I want this entire column right here. I can now copy this, come over here, and do paste combine arrays, hit enter, and boom, look what it wrote. A VStack index, 7th column of the J11 spilled range, and the second column of the O16 spill range. It figured out how to do that. There's no AI going on here. This is all stuff that we wrote. It's all in Formula Robot. All right, but let's challenge it. How about if we take this range right here? It can't possibly handle that, right? That's like bits and parts of 3 different spilled ranges. I'm going to copy that. Let's come over here, do paste combine arrays, and look at that. There it is. Look what it wrote. Just wrote that. Figured out how to do that. I'm not even sure how I would figure out how to do that. And it does it automatically. This is a really powerful thing to use, especially if you're doing a lot of dynamic formula writing, because imagine that this was all of the different parts of your report. And at the end, what you want to do is create one formula that does it all and just returns one array. You can basically design all your parts, pull them together with combine arrays, and then you have one formula that basically generates your whole report. All right. We having fun yet? All right.
Yes.
Next thing. Good.
We have a lot of questions.
Yes, I'm sure. Sorry. Next, we're going to do paste data validation. If you're like me, I love data validation because I like to make it easy for my users to choose things from a list. But that data validation dialog is a pain. Why can't they just have a feature where you copy the list and you go to the cell where you want the data validation and you do paste data validation? Now I've got two versions of this. I've got one for pasting it as a linked formula, and I have another one for pasting it as values. You can do it either way. I'm going to do the formula one. Just hit enter, and boom. We have our linked validation list, and it is linked to this list. So I can make changes to this, and it will adjust to it automatically. All right. Next up, we're going to do paste characters. Now, this is super not very useful in the real world, but when you're in an Excel competition, paste characters can be a godsend. Paste characters basically takes those words and it breaks the characters into separate cells. That can be something that is very handy in an Excel competition. Another one that's handy in an Excel competition is paste indirect. So this F3 is like an address. It's not a formula. It's just text that says F31. So if you wanted to figure out what is in those cells, F31 is over here. So F31 is an H. G32 is an E, so forth. But that'd be a lot of work to go through and figure out which one is which. So we have paste indirect. It works across sheets. So if you wanted to paste it on a different sheet, it asks you, what sheet do you want? I'm going to say, yes, I want it on this sheet. And boom, we just took all of these references and we got the values from the cell. So we can concat those. And boom, we have our answer, hedgehog. Another good one is paste count unique. So let's say that you have a bunch of cells and you want to know how many of each of those letters there are. That would be paste count unique. Use this one all the time. So now we can see that there's 5 blanks, there's 2 H's, 2 I's. Maybe I want to filter on just the 2's. I'm going to do filter array by selected values. Boom, now I just have the 2's. All right, next one. I actually won an award for this. This is I'm going to use the unpivot Lambda for this. I actually, if you can see it behind me, I have my award for best Lambda is back in the background. So that's when you have data going across and data going down. You can just copy this, go somewhere else, and paste unpivot, enter. And boom, there we go. We have it unpivoted. It has options to remove the blanks. So this had a lot of blanks in there. You can also edit this to give it, you could say region and sales, and it'll update in here. So now we have a nice unpivoted version of that data. And it's actually super smart. You could have multiple different names, and you could tell it what columns you want to unpivot. It's pretty slick. All right. So that was paste unpivot array. One more paste to go. Now we're going to take any cell that has a URL in it, and we are going to paste QR code. You're going to be surprised to know that this is actually a Lambda. It's a Lambda that's doing a web request against a web service that is able to turn a URL into a QR code. So that's a pretty handy one to have as well. And if you have your phones available, this just happens to be the website for the Global Excel Summit. Feel free to vote at your leisure. All right. Next up is Lambda Robot. Now, by far for the esports world, if you do nothing else with OA Robot, you're like, I'm not into OA Robot, like I don't need all this fanciness. If you don't use anything else, use Lambda Robot, because Lambda Robot allows you to edit generate Lambdas, edit Lambdas, save Lambdas, audit Lambdas, all kinds of really cool stuff. It's all free. You can use the free version of our robot, the free version of Lambda robot. The setup code is right here. It's amazing. So in this example, I've mapped out some logic. I'm not Dearmid Early, so I'm not able to just write one gigantic formula, single cell formula to do crazy things. I have to do it cell by cell so I can kind of see my work as I go. And so here you can see that I'm creating a snake lambda, which is it goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's like snaking the lambda. So I counted how many rows, then I created a sequence, and I figured out if it's an odd or even row. And then I used my reverse columns lambda to reverse all of the columns. And then at the end, I use an if statement to flop them back and forth. So that's the logic. Now, watch what we can do with Lambda Robot. And this is actually the very last of the paste specials, and this is one of the best. I'm going to copy this cell. This is the end result, the answer cell of our Lambda, of our cell by cell logic. And I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to do paste Lambda statement. This is in, and it basically what this does is it follows all of these formulas back until it gets to the input cells, hard-coded cells, or things that are marked as input in that yellow formatting. And it just generated this lambda. Again, no AI being used here. So it's run super fast. You can see it did a nice let statement. It formatted it nice. It named each of the let steps, and we can just click OK, and boom, we have our lambda. It's never been easier to generate lambdas. I literally never open the name manager, and I never open the advanced formula editor. I only use Lambda editor for all my lambda work. Now we're going to take that one step further, and we're going to save that lambda. So I'm going to do SL for save lambda. And keep in mind, if you don't remember all of these, there's also automated documentation. So if I go into the @ sign and I do Lambda robot, I can hit F1, and it'll actually take the definitions of the lambdas in this workbook. This will do it on your workbook too. It'll automatically generate documentation based on your definitions of your lambdas. So now you can see that in Lambda robot, I've got 29 robot commands, and they're all nicely documented here. If I wanted to see what that save lambda is really doing, I could click on this. I could see the definition of that one. I could also click all the way in and see the VBA that's involved. It's very well, it basically documents itself. I hate documentation, so that was a must for me in my dream world. All right, so where were we? We're going to do a save lambda, SL for save lambda. It guessed from the surrounding cells that we wanted to call it snake. That'll work. And we can go ahead and click OK on that. And boom, now we have our snake lambda. We could just as easily quickly turn that into a robot command. When you turn a lambda into a robot command, it remembers the dependencies of that lambda, and it'll include those. So you can still run that that robot command in other workbooks, and it'll surgically install the snake lambda on the fly when you want to use it in another workbook. All right. I'm going to show you just a couple more things. How often do you get a lambda and you're like, how the heck does this thing work? We have a new one that we just recently added called debug lambda, or it's called debug let steps. So this works with just a let statement, or you can do it. Oh, first I was going to show edit lambda. So in this cell is an invoked lambda. So it's snake, and then, so this is an invoked lambda. If I do EL for edit lambda, that brings it back to the definition in the cell. So rather than going into Name Manager and pulling it out or using the advanced formula editor, you just edit your lambdas right in the cell. You can come in here, make whatever changes that you want. And then when you're done, you just do save lambda again, and it'll save it back. But now I'm going to show you something pretty cool, which is the debug let steps. And when I run that, oh, maybe not. Okay. It says, show me how many rows and columns for arrays. I'll just hit the default and boom. So what that just did is it added some debug code at the bottom of my Lambda. And now you can see all the definition of all of those steps. So count is 10. Here's an array. Here's another array. Sequence is even. You can see those steps. So basically, you can try to figure out where your Lambda is going wrong by using that debug let steps. If you run it again, it'll toggle it back off again. So yep. And then if you prefer it to actually be in separate steps, you could do audit let steps. Audit formula steps, AFS, and that'll actually take your entire let, and it'll break it into parts in separate cells, basically reverse engineering your original cell by cell approach, so that you can debug it cell by cell. It's pretty crazy what you can do. And it does that outside of the used range. So at any time, you can just go ahead and just delete those, and you'll know that you're not deleting anything else. So that was audit formula steps. So there's that. So that is Lambda robot. Whew. All right.
Yes.
Thank
I'm
you.
tired too.
Back to the slides. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna need to take a nap after this for sure. All right, back to the slides. So microautomations are not just restricted to Excel. We create for our clients. We basically OA Robot is what my company. We're a consulting company. We do work for hedge funds and all kinds of different types of companies, and we create custom collections of robot commands for our clients. Now, we can basically trigger other things to run, things like auto hotkey scripts and REST API calls. So if you use REST API, you could grab things out of your timesheet program or load expenses into QuickBooks. You could even trigger your lights to dim because there's these things that have APIs now so you can basically you can control your entire life through that. And of course, you can also buy chocolate. I always do this example of my Lind chocolate that I have bought 33 times now. You can trigger it to run other code, and then it also integrates with 4 different AI providers: ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and Grok. And we just recently added your ability to trigger agents to work on your behalf using Claude Code. That's all part of our enterprise plan. What enterprise basically means is we can't really support that without a contract in place with us. So we basically work with you to either support you in creating your own, or you pay us to create, pay my team to create robot commands for your team. So if you don't want to write, if you love the idea of OA Robot, but you're like, I don't want to ever have to write a robot command, that's when you can just give us a ring. All right, we're to the end. Whew. All right. Thank you for joining me today and experiencing OA Robot, learning about microautomations, what makes Excel great. It's super fun to talk about this. If I wasn't so afraid of getting up in front of people, I'd be talking about it all the time. I'm not a social media person. You'll only really find me on LinkedIn. I barely create any YouTube videos. Everybody is always asking me to create more. Jack Kennedy, who's on the call, is great at, she's created a lot of content. Thank you, Jack, for creating content about OA Robot. I encourage you all to play with OA Robot and learn about OA Robot and share on your social media, what you've done with OA Robot, or create YouTube videos about it. I will promote any video that anybody creates about OA Robot. I'm happy to, highlight to others. If you download OA Robot, it's easy to install. It opens up with a getting started guide. And on the download page, you can sign up for an orientation. That's an hour and a half of me rambling on about Lambda Robot and Array Robot and all of these different things, and showing you how to do things. So I encourage you to sign up for an orientation. There's two scheduled for the next couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. If you ever have any issues with OA Robot, feel free to email us at support@oarobot.com. Also, we do actually have really good documentation. No documentation is ever really good enough, but we do have, if you click on documentation on our website, we have a searchable thing here, and you can go through and click around and read about a lot of the different things that are available. We've only touched the tip of the iceberg of what's possible with OA Robot. I could literally talk about it, show you other cool things that are possible for hours and hours. But we have to stop somewhere, and we're probably getting close to running out of time. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And now let's open it up for any questions. I'm sure there's got probably
yeah,
a gazillion questions. And if we want to stop the recording at some point, I'm happy to stay as long as you guys want and ask questions, demo other things if you want to see it. I'm free to stick around and answer questions as long as you want.
Okay, thank you so much, Erik. My mind is blown away, and I already knew OA robots. I got to see it at the early beginnings. Unfortunately, I at the time I could not use it, but I guess I need to go back to it and see if it's possible to integrate that in my work. There's a number of questions. Any of you who asked questions, if you prefer to just turn on your mics and ask directly, feel free to do so, okay? Just raise your hand using the raise icon there at the top on the ribbon, and you can ask directly. That works too. Erik, can you please now share your camera, because now we can only see, well, it's because I'm highlighting your video still, it seems. Okay, it's not coming up yet. We do not see OBS anymore.
Okay,
but it's still blank.
Let me shut that off.
Maybe just another regular camera if you have another one.
Yep.
Okay, so maybe Aurora and we can go through through all the questions we have here.
I think my computer's gone through a meltdown now.
Can't find the camera.
Hey,
oh, there you are.
There we go.
There you are. Yes. Okay. So are you ready for the questions? It's not time to rest yet.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Okay. So Henry is asking, and so some of these questions were a while back, were posted a while back. So if we cannot make sense of what they are referring to, then just feel free to, again, turn on your mic and clarify. Henry Chan is asking, is it like a super universal macro in look and feel? I guess he's referring to your entire add-in. That's what it looks like.
I looking for these.
It's at very top,
questions.
6:03 p.m. 6:03 for me. So for you, 3:03, right? What time zone are you in?
Is it like a super universal macro in look and feel?
Yes.
It's yes. It's kind of like it's like kind of like combining all sorts of different types of macros into one interface. So whether it's VBA or formulas, you saw I basically turned a formula into a macro. Um, Same thing with M code. Uh, some of the things I was running were send keys and so forth.
Okay. So formatting, can OA replace native format styles in Excel, or will styles be simpler to use?
Absolutely, you can basically do anything with OA Robot as long as you write the code to do it. We have something called Style Robot that we don't make it publicly available. It's what we use for our clients, but absolutely you can apply styles, not only styles to cells, but styles to slicers, pivot tables, charts, like all kinds of stuff. You can create robot commands around applying your custom styles. And those can also be distributed so that if you have like a company look and feel that you want, you can make that available to your entire team.
There's a couple of questions about that, about sharing things with different people. So we'll get to those. Okay, so thank you. Can OA commands reside, also from Henry Chen, reside in personal workbook so it can be used by other workbooks without physically be in every workbook?
Yeah, the beauty is that that VBA can be in any workbook and it'll still work in every workbook. So absolutely, it does not have to be in your personal workbook to have that effect. So what we do typically is we create files that are collection. We call them command collections, and it's where you put all your macros, kind of like a personal workbook, but you don't have to use your personal workbook. And then you register that file with OA Robot, so it knows that that file is a collection that it should include its commands in your command palette. So that way you can share that workbook with other people. You don't have to mess up their personal workbook. But yeah.
So is that file that contains the new robots, is it a copy of the current file that you are working on, or that
No.
OA robots? So it's the actual file. So what happens if you move the file or delete it, or and you forget you have a robot there?
Those commands will just no longer be listed in your command palette.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to cause a problem. There's basically two situations. Like a lot of times, if I have an application that has commands that are not generic, I'll just put like I have an invoice program that I do all my business invoicing with. It has commands like copy invoice to the to this folder, or PDF, create the PDFs, or like whatever, add new billing code, whatever it is. Those are all commands that are just in my invoice program. I would never want to run those commands in a regular spreadsheet somewhere else. So I wouldn't need to register that. Those robot commands would be available because I have my invoice spreadsheet open. Now, as soon as I open my invoice program, all of those robot commands become available in your command palette. As soon as I close my invoice program, now those commands are no longer available.
So how do we make one command not be available on the other workbooks, like you just explained, like you just mentioned?
You don't register the workbook. So when it's closed, then, which is most of the time, like you're only gonna, if you have it open, you want them available. If you don't have it open, they wouldn't be available. That's how.
So is it during the step of adding the command that we do that? The registering the workbook?
Basically, there's when you're in the, let me show my screen again. Back to the demo, share screen. So in the plus menu, you can add a command collection. So if I do add command collection, I can choose any command collection and any workbook, and it tells it, this is a file that I want to register with OA Robot, and then it becomes in this list here of ones that are pre-registered. So notice the paths on these are not, they're like different paths in different places. It knows where they are because I've registered them. So when I open OA Robot and I have nothing else open at all in Excel, it'll basically still show all of these all of the commands that are in all of these workbooks will all be listed automatically.
So for people to share between their teammates, could it be, for example, them having a shared folder on SharePoint or something where they know that every workbook there has a collection of a few?
Yep, that's exactly right. And you can actually, there's actually, with our Pro license, you can actually point it at an entire folder. So you could assign an entire folder to be there. So if you have a team and you want to just drop another file into that folder, then everybody would get those robot commands automatically. You don't have to go to each of your users and say, hey, add this new command collection. You can just have a folder available that you always do that. And that works well for like if you're using SharePoint or something like that that's synced locally. If you're using something that's like a network drive, like a R drive or something like that, sometimes those have slower performance, and you can use a syncable network command, which is something that makes it so that it copies them locally. So when you're offline, you can still use the commands.
Okay. So Eric was asking, can you define which workbook the robot is stored in, so you don't have a bunch of robot files out there you might not want?
I like to compare it to if you're into Lambdas, you typically have one file that's kind of your Lambda library, or you might have two files. You might have one that's for esports that has all your esports Lambdas in it. You might have another file that has all your work-related Lambdas in it. It works the same sort of way with robot commands. You can add robot commands to your Lambda file. You could have a macro workbooks for different purposes. So I have ones that are kind of categorized in groups. We call them command collections. You don't necessarily want to have like one command in each workbook and have 500 different files. It's better to like group them into collections. But there's a lot of ability to do things like you can move commands between collections and make copies of them. You can duplicate them. So if you want one that's similar to one that you already have, but you want to like name it something else and make a slight tweak to it, stuff like that.
All right. Another question from Henry Chan. Setup codes. Are these for one-off installation, or do you specify the code each time you want to use the respective underlying functions?
Here's what entering in a setup code does. It'll add a collection. I'm looking for one that I don't use the setup codes on my machine because I have like the source versions of everything. But it'll have a little sync button over here, and it's basically creating a GitHub syncable command collection. So it's registering it. So once you type in that setup code, you will continue to have those commands available. Next time you restart Excel, you'll have all of those available. And if you occasionally will make bug fixes or improvements to those, and there's a little easy to use download button. It's also shows up here, see it's grayed out right now, but update to latest version. So you can do update to latest version on these, and then it will go out to GitHub and get the latest version.
So this would help with also when you have multiple machines that you use and you want to have always your collection available.
That's right. If you want to have a if you want to make your collection publicly available, the best way to do that is to host it on GitHub, and then you can basically like make it so that it's a GitHub syncable collection. Jack does this. She has a really cool Excel esports collection called CompBot, and she has some great videos on how to set that up.
Yeah, if you want to share with us, Jack, those videos, to send me an email with that, then I can share that information when I send out the recording for the session. I can include that information. Okay, so also do you stack the setup codes so you can see multiple sets of functions, or just a single setup code operative at one time? Maybe you already answered this.
So just a couple of things about that. So this is the list of all of your command collections. Notice that when I clicked on it, it types NAT, and I can filter this. So if I wanted to type Lambda robot, you can see that it's filtering that to just one thing. Now, if I hit space, I've now filtered it, and now I'm only seeing the commands that are in Lambda robot. So that's a way that you can filter your list and find things quickly. So if you do have multiple, if I wanted to see what was in formula robot, I could do that, and now I see everything that's in Formula Robot. The exclamation point is if I wanted to see a certain type. So if I wanted to see everything that was a send keys command, there's all my send keys, or only things that are VBA, I can see all my VBA. So that's just for you to know.
You didn't forget about anything, did you? You you have it all
I mean,
figured out. You have
I just keep adding things. If I want it, like I just keep adding more stuff to it. So, you know,
okay, so another
yeah.
question. So Autofill robot must be guessing the context of what you want to do, but can you control how the guessing must be done if there could be different options? That's another question from Henry.
It does not have any. It does not have any ability to control how it's guessing. You just have to trust the huge amount of effort that we put into making it do the best guess. And if it doesn't work, you have to do it the old-fashioned way.
Guy Diamond was asking, so is this like a non-hard coded flash fill?
Yes.
So it's, I
Yeah,
think,
it's
around
like,
that time.
yeah, it's about, yeah, it's basically dynamic, a dynamic version of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, more questions. So
And
Erik,
it's
go
definitely
ahead.
not perfect. Like, you'll use it and it'll work for some things, it won't work for other things. But when it does work, it's just like, oh. So
Erik Artwig is saying that next time I have you for a demo, I need to warn people about the mind-blowing, jaw-dropping, and awesomeness that they might
thank
be
you.
given.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Um, and
I love all the memes that people put out.
Yeah.
That's great.
Henry is asking, what version of Excel does OA assume when you use Lambda robot? Some Excel versions can only
Excel 3,
use,
yeah.
go ahead.
It has to be Office 365. Um, it might work with 2021 or 2023 or whatever those
Or,
are,
yeah.
but it's really only supported in Office 365.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. Um, Guy was asking if anyone on this call has been able to install OA robot on a work laptop and get IT approval for it.
We do have people who request that we talk to their IT people. So we've answered like, kind of due diligence type questions to the IT folks, and we have been able to get it installed at different places. For our enterprise clients, we have the ability to turn off certain features. So if you like OA Robot, but they say you're not allowed to use VBA, we could actually create a cost, we can basically turn off the VBA commands for you and let you use it for everything but VBA. Or if you're not allowed to use something that has AI features in it, we can disable the AI features for you. But that's only something that we do for our enterprise clients.
Okay. And Anthony is wondering if he landed on the right webinar because he feels that he accidentally joined Advanced Science Conference where he does not belong, he says.
Jack made a point here that's important in terms of your IT groups, is that OA Robot, most people will install it using the installer. That's just to be convenient. But we designed it with the rules of the competition, the Excel esports competition in mind. So it actually is available as a packed XLL that you can put on a thumb drive or just a single file. And if you can get that onto your computer somehow and open it, then you have OA Robot without ever running an installer. So I'm not encouraging you to go against your IT, the rules of your IT people. But if they say you're not allowed to install it, not actually installing anything if you get the packed XLL and just open it up into Excel.
Okay. Jack is asking, can I share a command that lets other people? Oh, okay. She put a cube ahead of it, and I took it seriously.
Jack, I owe you
Yeah.
chocolate. I know I owe you chocolate, so that might be possible.
Okay. Next time I join the Excel Toronto Meetup, the robots will be vacuum clean floors and will cook food, I guess. Okay, so these are questions I have not read yet, I don't think. Is it possible to give a subscription to OA Robot as a gift to someone, like prepay for a year, but give it to someone else?
We don't have a way to do that currently. That'd be a cool thing to be able to do.
Yeah, gift cards.
For those that haven't looked into it, basically the way it works is the Pro plan is $100 per year, so it's very reasonably priced. And anything that you create with the Pro version, you can run with the free version, the standard license. So let's say you work on a team with 10 people, you can use the Pro license to create the commands, and then you can make that available to all of the people in your team. And as long as they're not creating commands, they can run the commands that you created with the Pro version. Does that make sense?
Okay, that makes sense. Yes. Let me see what else. Aurora, if I miss something that you see, or if you want to ask something, just jump in. Erik. Okay.
Anthony says Microsoft should acquire Excel Robot to ensure this doesn't appear in Google Sheets. Anthony, if you can make that happen, I'll give you 5%.
What happened? Appear in Google Sheets or make Microsoft buy it from you?
Oh, no.
Which portion do you want to
Have
happen?
to get Microsoft to buy us. That would be my dream. I'd love to make OA Robot standard issue for everybody, all 1 billion users. That'd be pretty awesome.
That would be awesome. Oh yeah. Is the formula separator comma by default, or does it change based on personal regional settings like semicolon?
Oh, excellent
This is a
question.
question from
We
Corina.
didn't
Yes.
we didn't cover this at all. So, where is can you can still see my screen, right?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So, notice that how nicely this is formatted. If I do compact formula format, it'll unformat it. I can take any formula and I can format it. What it's doing, this formatting is available in OA Robot, in Formula Robot, and it works in any region with any regional settings. Even if you're using like, English functions, but German semicolons or like whatever it is, it works in that. In fact, here's what's even better. There's a if you copy some complicated formula and copy it to the oh wait, I'm saying this the wrong way. Let me look up my convert. Um, oh, it's not. It's translate. So there's paste, translate formula. So let's say that you're on LinkedIn and you see something that's in English with commas or whatever. You can copy that text and then you can use paste, translate formula into your Excel, and what it pastes in will substitute all of the regional settings for you. It'll do the semicolons. It'll do, if you're using a different language, we have support for like 30 different languages, and it'll convert your to your local language. I challenge you to use that, and it goes both directions. So there's also I think it's copy to English. Copy formula to English. So what this does is, let's say that my local settings are in Portuguese with semicolons and the whole 9 yards. I can copy that formula that has semicolons in it using this copy formula to English. And what it puts on your clipboard is the English version with English function names and commas like standard English. So if you're sharing something with somebody, like you're putting it on LinkedIn or you're sharing it somewhere, you want to kind of use the English standard to make it easier for the world to get their hands on it. Then you can use this copy formula English. That's part of Formula Robot. That uses, the reason I showed you the format thing is because we wrote a formula parser from the ground up using F#. That is, I looked at all kinds of open source formula parsers, and they were all too slow. They didn't handle the latest and greatest trim range or like whatever the new beta features are. So we have our own formula parser that is extremely fast. You can select an entire sheet of formulas and run that formula formatter on there, and it'll format all of them on the entire sheet.
Oh, wow. Like I said, you didn't forget about anything. It doesn't look like. Okay. Let's see. I was wondering, do you have like a community type of place, like a WhatsApp group or a forum somewhere where people can just exchange and ask questions to each
Yeah.
other about?
So right now most of our users that are using this are in the esports community, and the esports community has a WhatsApp group that people talk about esports stuff, and we do have a group within that is like for OA robot chat. In addition, Jack Kennedy can post the link to her. Um, it's called Excelopolis. It's a Discord channel, and we have an OA robot kind of room area where you can chat about it there. It's not super active, but if you do go in there and post a question or anything like that, we will see it. I'd love for it to be more active. It's just that most of the people who are in there are also in the WhatsApp group. So
Okay. OA robot, OA version updates, does it check update automatically, or is this a totally manual process?
yeah, so it'll give you a it'll put up a little banner across the top when there's a new version available. We call this the hamburger menu. So you can also go to the About OA Robot dialog and check for updates. Um, if there is an update available, it'll download it and you basically just run the installer over again and it updates it for you.
Okay, great.
So it does not update anything automatically because I work in an industry where you don't want anything to change unexpectedly. So I made it so you have to install the update if you want it, because then you have time to like make sure it doesn't break anything in production or whatever.
Yeah, it makes sense. Eric was asking, can you go into detail on the difference between professional plan and enterprise plan when it comes to create commands and edit commands? He says
Yes.
he sees an half circle, but I could not. Yeah,
Let's
would like
just
to know
go.
more.
Let's just go to oarobot.com. It's basically the standard plan is free. The pro plan is $100 a year, and anything you create with the pro plan, you can run on the standard plan. And then there's a bunch of additional options for the enterprise plan, and that's all broken out in these tables down here. So you can run commands in any of them. Um, the free version has like a ton of capability. The only thing is that the only type of command that you can create is Excel formula commands. So it's kind of like a teaser for being able to create commands. So with standard plan, you can create formula commands. With professional plan, you can create all of these types, and then with enterprise plan, you can do anything. And a lot of some of the types of robot commands you can still run with the other versions, and other types you can only run if you have the enterprise plan. So um, that's basically how that works. Great question. Thanks for asking it.
Mm-hmm. Um, and here's something you will like, Eric. Guy says that I know you said you don't like presenting, but you're very good at it.
I feel like I do okay when I'm like once I start doing it, like it's not so bad. But the anticipation and the preparation and the stress of it all is just like it's like way too much for me. And it just has caused me so much anxiety. And you wouldn't believe how much, stress I've had over the last week that's coming down on me.
I
So,
hope
but
you
thank you for
enjoyed
that. Thank you for that.
it in the end, Eric, because it's been a great session. Um, So thank you for all the stress and all the time and okay, and being able to share previously created robots to others that have the free version. Awesome. So that's a comment from Erik. And thank yous here from Karina. And we have Jack's
Karina
Discord
stayed awake
link.
through the whole thing. That's awesome.
And
It was like
that's it.
it
All
was
the
like
questions
one in the
answered.
morning
I
for her.
think if I missed something, please step up and let us know. Otherwise, Erik, I think Aurora has shared how people can reach out to you, but through awayrobot.com, on LinkedIn. Um, is there any other place where you recommend people reaching out?
I think I'm technically on like I'm on Twitter or X or whatever, and Instagram and TikTok, but I don't post anything. So you should follow. I'm at Excel Robot. I'm Excel Robot on everything. So you're welcome to follow me someday. Maybe I'll get my act together and start posting TikToks about robot commands. I always wanted to do that, but I'm not a social media person. Like I just feel like if I put stuff out there, I would never like respond to comments or whatever.
Mhm.
If it
Yeah,
ever
and you
takes
cannot be
off,
anywhere, right? You need a team at some point to manage all that anyways.
yeah, yeah,
It's either that or programming this. So we'll go with programming over robots.
yeah, good stuff.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Thank
everyone,
you.
for joining
Thank
us.
you,
Thank you,
Celia.
Erik, once more.
Excellent session.
I'm glad. Yes, I'm glad that you came out of your cave one day and you keep showing up. And all the best to your project. And yeah, we'll see you around, and hopefully people will share and start to use it
Good,
more
good.
and more.
Thank you
The
so
again,
much.
Dermot did mention OA Robot in one of his interviews there at the end of the championship, and he did mention using OA robots has helped him finish the competition way ahead of time. 3 times in a row, actually, for those of you who did not watch that. Them did that for the last 3 rounds, always ended with perfect score, with time to spare in the end. So it was very exciting to see that.
Which by the way, do not take credit for his
No,
wins.
he's
He is absolutely incredible without OA Robot. And
yes,
if he gave him a slight edge, maybe, but I think he would have won without OA Robot. And also, there is out of the top 8 people, probably 5 out of the 8 were using a OA Robot, and so there's dozens of people that were all using OA Robot in the top 48 or whatever. So
yeah.
yeah,
So it's proven, right? It's well tested. Thank you
yeah.
so much, Erik, and everyone who joined and stayed until late today with all the questions. And we'll see you around soon. Thank you, and have a good night or a good day wherever you are.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.